Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. We have Alex with us live from Munich. This
Great.
is quite an informal session, only because we're just going to go wild at exploring a stamp show and chatting about some things. So, quite a different format than what we've covered for other sessions that we've been working on in the Virtual Stampex auditorium. I've got some questions I'm going to ask Alex. We have a video to show you of the stamp show, which Alex is going to walk you through. We have another video to show you. We have a photo to show you. We've got some great stuff. I could first ask Alex to introduce himself.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Haimann. I'm thrilled to be here with you all. It's 2 p.m. Here in Germany on the 7th of March, and thrilled to be at the big Munich show that's held here. It's held right just north of the center city, and it's actually during the same weekend as a large numismatic coin and paper money show. So a lot of activity going on in this building all at the same time, which is really something. I'm a lifelong collector of many different things, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later as well. But I just turned 40 years old, and I've been collecting since I was 7, to give you a sense of my timeline, and I've never stopped. Loved everything I've done in philately. I've been a volunteer, worked on a variety of different projects for different organizations, and now over the last year and a half, I've jumped back in to the professional side, and I'm a principal with Cherry Stone Auctions that's based out of New Jersey and the New York City area. And so I kind of wear an auction hat, I wear a professional hat, volunteer, and I'm very, yes, I'm still kind of getting over the surprise and shock in many respects, and very humbled, truly humbled by the election to the RDP, which will be happening, right, as you mentioned, in Boston this May.
Fantastic. And can you just tell us why you're in Munich? Are you there with Cherry Stone? Are you there on holiday? What are you doing there?
Good question. I was in the UK for a variety of reasons. For a Cherry Stone reason, for personal, working on with a museum on a future project related to what we'll talk about later with one of my past museum related projects. So all these things kind of came together as one trip, and then in the middle of it, I'm actually here with a good friend named John Hotchner. He's a almost 50-year-long consecutive Linz Stamp News weekly columnist. Is a legend in the American philatelic space and internationally. Also, was elected to sign the RDP several years ago. So he decided to join me as well, and during this UK portion. And I said, "Oh well, John, since we're here, we might as well see if we can find a really big stamp show somewhere that's mildly convenient to get to." And we came across this one as we were looking at dates, and we said, "Oh, let's go to Munich." So we actually went to Vienna, Austria yesterday, and walked around and found some stamp shops in Vienna, then took the train here last night to come to the show. We're here all day. We take the train back tonight. And then we actually go to a stamp club meeting tomorrow called the BSV. They are a club that has been meeting twice a week. Twice a week. Basically, I think almost every week of the year. So say 50 weeks a year since 1930. And they get between 50 to 100 members per meeting. So it's a pretty extraordinary event. I've been to it before, and excited to go back and be with those members again. So it's kind of a bit of a German-speaking between Austria and Munich philatelic weekend with time in London on each other side of the weekend.
Fabulous. Do you want to show us the show?
Thanks, Suzanne. So yes, this just gives you a sense of the entrance. It's in Hall 2 here, and Hall 3 is the numismatic show. And it really it's been hopping from we were here the moment it opened at 9:30 this morning to now, and it just continues to be really something. There's a nice presence of Deutsche Post here selling new issues and current stamps. There are dealers that are focused just on collections. There are dealers that focus just on single stamps, supplies. There are multiple supply dealers here, from albums, mounts, tongs, everything that the stamp collector needs to keep their passion and projects moving forward. There are a series of societies that are here from many different regional and other related specialty groups that focus on different areas, mostly of German philately, stamp or cover collecting areas. There are a number of auction houses here, primarily the German auction houses, or ones that are regional to this area of Germany. There are It's gonna come to some different things that I tried to zoom in on. But there are, you think about a stamp show and you say, oh, maybe everything's super expensive. Well, what I'm showing, these bins are of, €1, €2, €3 stamps from all over the world. There are, even 50 cent, euro cent covers here, stamps. So you could come truly with any budget to this show. As I've walked around, I've noticed, from that, kind of from just a few cents all the way to, thousands of euros in terms of a price range. The Mickle catalog is here with a nice booth presence, which has been very nice. Some of the auction houses are doing previews for upcoming sales. Some are just here to meet clients and accept consignments. So kind of a nice big mix across the floor, and everything is except for the societies. Basically, all the dealers and auction houses are all over, and they're mixed around. There's not just one area where there's stamp dealers, one area where there are cover dealers. So it's really been quite something. But a big range of I've heard lots of voices. I was talking to a gentleman, a British collector around my age who collects Korea, but lives here in Munich. So it's that's just an anecdote, but there's really an international batch of folks here across the whole range of collecting sort of populations that you could imagine. But yeah, whether you're looking for deep areas of Germany, I was from, German field post, stampless period, or others. I'm very interested in World War II, both on the American, British, and German side. So this is a great opportunity for me to look for a lot of the German type material that I'm interested in. But different types from boxes, books, albums, bins. You kind of, there's the full spectrum of the types of ways that dealers display their materials is really quite evident here at the show. So these are some of the society booths, as well as some of the collecting groups. There are some German experts here where you can bring. So here's an example, the 50 euro cent covers for just a sense, just boxes and boxes and piles to go through. And there are some areas where there are collectors 2-3 deep to get at tables to go through stock. The reason I point down at the floor, by the way, is I'm trying not to just film right at people's faces. Some people don't really appreciate that. So I'm just trying to focus on dealer booths when I can get to it. What else has been really interesting? There's a big food and kind of a big lounge area that actually is shared by the numismatic show and the stamp show. Oh, I found something since we have Suzanne there in good old England. They have, of course, British stamps here. Why not? So if you're, you wouldn't think that you'd have just pages and pages of penny reds, plated penny reds, but why not? Really, every category of stamp cover is here. So it's not, even though you're at a German show and there are lots of German specialty items, Zeppelin material, it's a full range of anything from around the world. This is one of my favorite dealer setups. They basically create their own dealer booth where they have their own counter. They set up, so while they're standing, there's a counter at their level, and then while everyone's seated, it's a seat at their level. But you get a sense of the crowd here, and it's been continuously this busy, and maybe even a little bit more now that the day has moved on. And it's really been an experience. So I cannot recommend enough. We're going to talk more about the show, of course, as we continue our conversation. I cannot recommend enough, if you are in the Munich area, if you have an opportunity to jump on a train and you could get here for a future iteration of this show, it'll be well worth it.
Thanks, Alex. We're just still walking around.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I ask a question? We had a
sure, go for it, please.
Yesterday, we were talking about the future of stamp shows in a round table last night, or yesterday morning for some people. We were saying, it can be quite intimidating to go to a stamp show for the first time, to approach a dealer and they say kind of, what do you want? And you don't quite know, what do you ask for in terms of the folders, the boxes? What would be your advice if you hadn't been to a show before, when someone says, are you looking for something in particular? What kind of thing would you say?
Yeah, I would say that, and actually there's some very nice examples even here at the show. You'll notice when you have some of the dealers have books or boxes right on the table, right up front. That really is an invitation where, if you want to, and a lot of, some philatelists, some stamp collectors, don't want to just immediately engage in conversation or to ask that question. That is an invitation to begin searching. So if there are books or binders that are just open, flat, on the table, right as you'd walk up, as a member of the public or boxes, that's an opportunity to just begin that browsing without having to say a word. So all these boxes that just say, 50 cent, €1, they are meant to just dive right in. You don't have to ask the dealer a question. You don't have to ask for permission. That's an intentional invitation to jump right in. If you're looking for something that you don't see, or you notice that they have lots of stamps, many of them will have signs that will indicate their specialties. You can really, it's of course always critical to be polite. But I always just say, I'm looking for XYZ. I don't speak German. Even though I have a German last name, my family's now in its second, third generation in the United States, so my German language skills are non-existent. Though my father is on this video, I believe, and he is beefing up on his German language skills as much as possible for his future visits. I know that. So I actually just use my phone and translate words for what I'm looking for in English, and I just show it to the dealers and just say, looking for this. And every dealer here I've done that with has instantly been like, either they've started speaking to me in English because they realize that I'm American, or that it's in English as well, or they'll won't just sort of say okay, and then they'll grab it and give it to me. So I have found that there's the friendliness is here if you're just polite and you're just very clearly very eager, and if you're able to, if you don't speak the language that the dealer is clearly speaking or all their signs are in, anything you can do to facilitate that, and really using a Google Translate or something like it, just really demonstrates that you understand that it would be easiest for the dealer to help you by at least providing that word or phrase of whatever you collect or whatever you're interested in, try to translate it into their language.
Thanks, Alex. A couple of things that, we've had a conversation recently about Boston and some of the PTS members doing Boston, the difficulties of things like making sure you've got the right credit card. So, one of the things that we recommend for people going to stamp shows is do consider bringing a bit of cash, as well as having a card or another electronic way of paying, because that might be an easier way to transact. And I noticed there was a stand there selling bags and backpacks. Don't forget to bring a bag. There's not so many plastic bags around at shows anymore. So do you have any other top tips of things that you should bring with you or prepare for a show?
I personally always recommend to anyone, no matter what your budget is, to bring cash. You don't think about it as consumers sometimes, but on the other side of the transaction, it does cost money for the dealer to receive your credit card. There are transaction fees. So to be able to pay in cash really is even a slightly more considerate.
Sorry,
that guy. There's a PTS member behind you. That's funny. This is what happens at a live show. The opportunity to run into people, to meet people, to make new friends. To even the gentleman I was talking to was asking about Korea. I noticed that he was speaking English, and I started talking with him. Philately really is a far more friendly environment than it may appear on its surface, and you have to present yourself in these environments to really kind of begin making those connections that really are so wonderful when done in person. But I would say yes, definitely bring cash. That's that's very useful, convenient. It avoids any difficulty that some dealers who will not accept credit card. You obviously every dealer will accept cash. That's perfect. I always bring a bag, but to put on my shoulder. But I also bring a hard envelope. Sometimes I'll buy something that I just want to make sure just doesn't get kind of bent or kind of can happen in my backpack or otherwise. So I try to bring a cardboard envelope, empty, as well, inside of my bag, so I can preserve something I don't want to, might be fragile. You don't have to bring tongs, but if you're going to be going into individual stamps, that can certainly be very useful. So tongs are a must. Magnifying glass, of course, is very useful. I always bring a bottle of water and keep it in my back pocket, but just because I'll find myself not wanting to waste time or pay convention center prices by going and buying a bottle of water. So I always bring a bottle of water. So that's always useful too.
Yeah, it's one of the things we say is like, remember to go outside and get some fresh air and eat and drink, because you get so excited going to stamp shows.
Yes, absolutely.
How does this stamp show compare with other shows that you've been to? For me, this is like, it definitely looks like a German show there, and I can see some of the differences. What do you see as some of the comparisons that people can make if they're thinking about local fairs that they're going to, regional fairs they're going to, national stamp shows, and international stamp exhibitions, because they are quite different.
They are very different. I would say one of the biggest differences that you'll notice across those categories is the sophistication or the build out of the booths or tables. gets more sophisticated, more complicated, complex, the bigger the show is. Typically, national shows like this one, or international shows, you'll see booth setups like these walls right here. You'll see glass display cases at bigger shows, higher level shows. You'll see more basic tables and chairs. It's not a negative, by the way. It's what they will be at more local shows or regional fairs. Typically, you will see more auction houses, expertising groups, society booths at the bigger events, because there is sort of if you would, a bigger bang for your buck for those organizations and entities to come to these events. You'll see more dealers from a wider range of geography at a show like this. So there are dealers here from Italy, they're from France. There are some from, where else did I see? From Holland here. So you'll have more opportunities to get at dealers that, if you are just going to shows, or if you're able to attend a small show wherever you live, if you can make it to a national level show in whatever country, it's a better shot at being able to access dealers that would not otherwise come to a local show, or one that is a small or a regional. So those are some big differences. The Boston show, to anyone that's thinking about coming, is going to be extraordinary. It's the largest show held this decade in the United States. Dealers from all over the world will be there, as well as throughout the U.S. 8 days from May 23rd to May 30th. It's my third international at the U.S. With the stand. My first one was in 2006 when I was 20, and they are just the highlights of my philatelic decade in a way. I love it. Yeah, boys. We should just get Suzanne. Suzanne.
I don't need to go. I can just zoom into you all the time.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. This is why we do live TV. This is the whole idea.
Stampex television channel. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so those are some examples of differences and opportunities going to one type of level show versus another.
Fabulous. Now I'm going to ask a difficult question, take us off track a little bit. What do you think philatelic shows, how do you think they will evolve over the future? What do you think, or how do you think they need to evolve in the future?
That's a very good question. I have a lot of different thoughts on this. I mean, the biggest problem with collecting shows generally is the expense of the venues is becoming prohibitive in varying environments for different metropolitan areas. It's just more expensive to have a space that previously 25 years ago cost X for the exact same space. Well, dealer stocks haven't gotten smaller. The objects that we're buying and selling haven't gotten smaller. The footprint that we need hasn't gotten, that much smaller or changed necessarily that much. But the cost for the same space for the organizers is growing. So that's making things difficult. I would say that the numismatic show, for example, charges 15 euros per person to get in. The philately show, stamp show, charges nothing. That's interesting. I could make a case in favor of admission and opportunities to use that money to keep great venues in play in the stamp world, to do other things on site, to prepare other types of experiences side by side with the bourse. So there's more than just buying and selling that could take place at stamp shows. So I'm a lot of ideas there. I would say the other element around shows is that they're people that have always been going to stamp shows. Part of the reason why we're doing this, Suzanne, obviously, is we're trying to show people that have never been to a stamp show that are watching on YouTube, watching on YouTube later, watching live right now, that this event is for you. This event is for everyone that's interested in stamps, covers, postcards, everything that touches that postal collecting space. This is really you are welcome here. And I think that the challenges that shows have been about marketing the experience and trying to understand what's happening. For me, the most important thing about a stamp show, and where I would say opportunities lie still, is it's a great way to engage families, kids, virtual environments, eBay or Hipstamp or wherever you're buying, Delcom. A 7-year-old or 8-year-old who's catched the bug and wants to collect. There's not a lot of satisfaction looking at a bunch of listings online. But when you come here, and I bring my kids to stamp shows in the States, and they'll be in Boston, my 7-year-old Winston, for example, to him, he could spend all day and just looking through covers, looking through stamps, the tactile touch. We collect real physical things. So these show environments, in my view, are critical because it's an opportunity to have us be physically with the material and to look at it, touch it, collect it, buy it, exchange it, sell it, trade. So anyway, these are just a variety of comments about shows, but I would say they're in need of developing more experiences to make the pull and attraction to actually take the time and effort and money to come to a show. I think that's the future, is finding ways to create more of an experience side by side with the bourse, not just a buying and selling experience.
Okay, thank you. So do you want to talk to us about a car?
Yeah, sure. So that's funny. I have long been focused on this idea of how do we make stamp shows and the experiences, these physical experiences. Here we are at this big exhibition. How do we add more to them? How do we do something that not only attracts stamp collectors and philatelists and postal history collectors, but has an opportunity to draw in collectors and enthusiasts of other fields that maybe if they came to this type of show where otherwise they would not, that there's something for them that they would explore. It's sort of one of those things where you have to sort of walk in the door. If we can't get you in the door, you can never know if you would find this experience and what we have to offer here interesting. So for Boston, I approached Mark Butterline, Yamil Curry, and the leadership of Boston 2026 several months ago and simply said, hey guys, if I could get one of Queen Elizabeth's, British Queen Elizabeth II's Rolls Royces that she owned and used, and could have it on the show floor and build an entire exhibit focused on sort of the British Empire and its stamps all the way through the Commonwealth period. Would you give me the 20 by 50 feet that I need for that space? And they said, sure, Alex. Yeah. If you get one of Queen Elizabeth's Rolls Royces and get it on the show floor and have it not cost the show anything, we'll give you all the space you need. And so the challenge was in a sense already accepted, and I knew that I would be able to follow through when I made the original request. So in Boston, there will be a special exhibit, a sort of a museum type experience.
Shall I show a picture?
Yeah, please.
I've got a picture. I'll show.
That's right. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. No, you forgot. I forgot you had the picture. Thanks. So the car is about 6 meters, a little bit longer than 6 meters long. To give you a sense of the scale here, it's about 20 feet, and there will be an exploration starting on the left side is where you'll walk in. So you'll be walking in, and sort of the front of the car will be on your right, and the panels and display cases will be on your left, and you'll walk around the car and exit on what is the right side, and it's going to be a focus on Queen Victoria, who was on the very first stamp, the penny black, all the way through Queen Elizabeth, who became queen in 1952 and coronated in 1953, and then, of course, had a 70-year-long reign. So it's going to focus on who are these queens and kings, why are they on stamps, what do those stamps look like, what are coronations, how do they become, officially become the king or queen, and then this concept of royal tours. This car was used by Queen Elizabeth famously on a royal tour that she did in 1956 to Nigeria, for example. So what are royal tours? And anyone that collects or that's watching this that collects British colonial or Commonwealth stamps know or may recognize hundreds of different stamps that have been issued, maybe thousands, that show different British monarchs and commemorating their visits to their country, whether it be Basutu land or South Africa or Australia, New Zealand, all over. Even Nigeria, I did an overprint of a stamp when this car and Queen Elizabeth came in 1956. So the premise is to try to connect all of these different themes using not just stamps, but also three-dimensional objects, including the car, of course, but we'll have coronets that were worn by dukes and duchesses at coronations in the early 20th century. We will have a variety of three-dimensional objects. Free. It's the whole Boston show is completely free admission, and this experience will be as well. We're working now on the end of the exhibit to have British and Commonwealth stamps and covers that will be free for people to choose a few to start a new collection or just as a souvenir of their experience. So to me, it's how do we do something more, bigger, bolder? And the Boston show is going to use that car and that exhibit as part of their PR to try to attract in local media, TV, because it's one of 18 Rolls-Royce Phantom 4s ever made. They were only sold to heads of state. There are very few of them that have ever been on public exhibition in the United States. And here we have this one. And one more comment is next month, April, marks the 100th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's birth. So the focus on the centenary of her birth will be a focus. Context philately is really a reframing or a sort of a new language around something that's really been in the stamp world and exhibiting and how people collect for a long time. The basic idea is that stamps belong and covers and all the things that we collect were part of different countries' history, heritage, culture. Everyone wasn't just sitting around naked on the ground with nothing around them writing letters to each other. There was clothing, there were buildings, there was events taking place. If you collect military related stamps or covers, well, there were actual wars taking place around the environment where these soldiers or individuals were writing these pieces of mail that were going back and forth. So context philately is showing those stamps, covers, postal objects alongside the context by which they were used, sent, collected, experienced. So the idea is that these stamps focused on Empire to Commonwealth are all telling the story of how these monarchs and their representation on the stamps, what they meant to the people of those countries and why monarchs' heads were used, and then using stamps and covers to talk about and commemorate royal tours, of course, is all about, well, where did they go in these royal tours? Why were these royal tours important? And of course, well, while everyone was focused on the royal tour, well, the Queen was actually there and she was in this car. So it's sort of a dramatic example of context philately to have the stamp that was used, that was commemorating her visit alongside the car that she was in. So to me, how do we get new people interested and engaged in this world, meaning the philatelic and stamp world? And the key to that is we have to find new ways of grabbing people's attention, pulling on heartstrings, finding connections in people's regular lives or other interests and saying, we have that too. And not only we have that too, but you can connect with it in multiple ways, no matter what thematic area of interest you have, no matter, you like Harry Potter, we got you. You're interested in hunting and fishing, no problem. You like chocolate, we got chocolate.
We had a chat earlier, Alex, and you said that between us talking then and us talking now, you'd found something. Do you want to tell me?
Oh,
what
sure.
you found? I don't know.
Well, yeah. In a sense, I was thinking, we're doing this presentation. Yes, it's live from a stamp show, and a lot of other virtual Stampex talks will have people that may be showing PowerPoint presentations or presentations that are actually showing real stamps and covers. And by luck, I found three things for myself. I've never stopped collecting, no matter what part of philately I've been in. There we go. Is that coming through, Suzanne?
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a cover that was sent from St. Louis, Missouri on January 2nd, 1904. And it was sent with the corner card. You see that Noonday Club in the security building. Well, that's still a building that exists. The security building. Actually, a friend of mine works in that building, and I'm actually thinking about giving this to him as a gift. And he's writing to someone inside the city, so that 2 cents was sort of the inside sort of local delivery rate. And he's writing to someone at the German consulate in the Laclede building, and the Laclede building was right down was basically 1 block away from where I worked in St. Louis for over 10 years. So just a really fun connection. Here I am in Germany, in Munich, and I have found this cover. And what it dawned on me is that I'm probably repatriating this item to the United States. I would bet you that this person, Mr. Redden, brought this envelope back to along with its contents, brought this envelope back to Germany whenever he, came back at some point. And that's why it's been here potentially since 1904, 1905. And here's Alex taking it back not only to the United States but back to St. Louis, and I'm probably going to take it actually all the way back and deliver it to my friend at the same building where the Noonday Club was at that time and what the building is today. So it's a real extreme philately opportunity there of putting the cover right back in its place from where it was over 120 years ago.
Why don't you put a stamp on it and send it back in the mail?
that would be something, but no, I don't want to do that. The next one is my birthday. I mentioned about turning 40. Well, my birthday is February 9th, which is in the cancellation mark here. So I collect and have since I was a kid anything February 9th. So of any year, any country, and I, it's just a really fun way. It means that no matter where I am, any stamp show in the world, it can be a small show with 3, 5 dealers. It can be a show with 100 dealers. I can always walk up to any booth and I can always look for something. It kind of gives me like an evergreen area to look. And this is quite interesting. It was sent to Germany, sent from the United States to Germany. And it comments that basically by the time it made it through the processing in New York, that the postage stamp was already missing, that it already had fallen off when it went after at the point of processing. So just kind of an interesting marking, auxiliary marking side by side with a birthday item. And it says, this was €10. So these are not, and the other one below it was €7. You can find things here that are affordable. That doesn't have to be, you can find cool things that does not have to be expensive. The last thing, this is by far one of the coolest things I've probably found at a show in a long time. So here is a cover registered from London with George V stamps, including his silver jubilees. This is sent in 1935, and I don't know if you can see the cancellation, but it says Buckingham Palace. So a cover sent from Buckingham Palace, and you can see the royal cipher in the back here. And it was sent from Buckingham Palace, July of 1935, to Germany. And what's so cool, because that's neat in itself, but the really neat thing is that the original letter still remains. Look at this letter. Hold on, let's see. So from the private secretary is commanded by the king to acknowledge the receipt of Herr Reinhold's letter of this particular date and to thank him for his offer of a stamp, which is returned herewith, as His Majesty only collects stamps of the British Empire, which is just spectacular. It's what I mean. I'm aware that the king had, people, he was very prominent in the stamp world and even outside the stamp world as someone that collected stamps. And so obviously he received unsolicited contributions from people. And here's an example of the response. And I've never seen this response. And I'm very interested, just as a point of just history and interest, in King George V and his stamp collecting focus. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during a very similar period in the 1930s and early 40s when he was president, also was a stamp collector. So really an amazing era of world leaders and their interest in philately. So to me, and since you mentioned the Royal Distinguished Philatelist, the very first person to sign the roll in 1921 was George V. So this is a kind of the stars aligned, and here I am at a show. And again, almost certainly this made its way back to Germany, and it has potentially been here in Germany since 1935, and been in collecting circles, and found its way to a dealer here, a German dealer here, and now Alex has it, and this connection with the RDP is really something, and the connection of just all that we all have to the king of all hobbies, and part of that has to do with there have been several different monarchs, including King George V, who have collected stamps and been passionate. So those are the three things that I had in mind. I hope that didn't disappoint, Suzanne.
Lovely. I love it. I love the adventures and the stories. That's what it's all about. And we do virtual Stampex for lots of different reasons. And one of the reasons is for people who haven't been to a physical in-person stamp show before, to show them what kind of the components of that would be: the booths, the reading room, the displays, the talks and the seminars, the chat rooms where you can meet people. But that hunt is, you get a different buzz in real life. We did with Graham at Exploring Stamps. Graham ran this £10 challenge at Stampex a couple of years ago, where we gave I think 4 or 5 people £10, and they had to just go and find the most interesting thing they could at Stampex. And amazing the things that you can find.
This is at almost any show you could. I mean, for €5, I mean, it's £10 is a great example. 10 to 15 euros, or about $20, $15, $20. You can collect forever. I mean, you truly can collect forever, a few dollars at a time. And some of the most special, coolest things I've collected are not by far not the most expensive things I've ever bought. So it's all about looking and paying attention. Knowledge is power. You made a comment about what are the things you can bring to a show, like some of the tips, like we were talking about cash or tongs or a backpack or a bottle of water. Knowledge is the other thing. And what's amazing, not only in what you can see, but your phone has become this unbelievable resource. When I'm looking at a letter now and it's written in German or Italian or Hebrew or whatever, I can take a picture of it and like ChatGPT will transcribe it and translate it for me. And it does a pretty decent job. I'd say 90% of the time when I'm sort of trying to follow, what it's done, it hits the nail on the head. So now technology that like the supercomputer we have in our pocket can help you collect items that were focused on languages that otherwise, if you have no knowledge in, just a few years ago would have been near impossible to have collected and to have understood kind of what you were buying and what were they saying and what's the context is or what's on this stamp, what's that word mean. And now, I mean, at the show you can almost do anything you want related to that kind of research reference just in a moment.
Yeah, amazing. And we've just had a comment here to say that you can send the king a stamp or cover now, and his secretary will mail it back with a reply. So try and find something that he definitely doesn't collect anymore.
That's interesting. I hadn't, what a cool companion
Try and
piece
get
that would be.
exactly the same wording back. See if you can get that.
What Suzanne is about to show is it's a YouTube video. If you go to YouTube and type in Clash of Empires Zulu, you'll come to a page that has a variety of videos. This is an overview video that actually Graham Beck, you mentioned about Graham Beck, historian stamps, very kindly helped us with and prepared and was the master of a lot of our best content that we did for this event. We talked about context philately in this exhibit I'm working on for Boston. This was one that we did at the Royal Philatelic Society London, and it was focused on the Anglo-Zulu War, which was a conflict that took place in 1879 between the British and the Zulus. And I've been a long-time collector since I was 11 years old, actually, in this particular area of history. And my passion was always stamps and covers, but there are so few pieces of mail covers sent by soldiers, and the Zulus did not have a written language that I was able to acquire when I was a teenager and into my 20s. I started collecting other objects like Zulu spoons or cartridges for the Martini Henry rifle, toy soldiers, books, pamphlets, newspapers, and then as I was able to find different networks. So this is showing different letters, soldiers that were drawing what they were seeing in Zululand, period photographs, books, cartoons. So it kind of went off the rails in many respects. But this exhibition was my sort of dream to put together in these modern stamps that showing the Zulu War in this video right here from 1979. So not just old objects, but also things that are relatively new, dioramas and so forth. So this was open to the public for July of 2023. Over 2,000 people came from 29 countries. I worked with the collaborator and longtime prominent historian Ian Knight, who's written dozens of books on the Zulu War, to work to put this all together with me. We had over 500 and I think 50 objects that range from 5-foot tall Zulu cowhide shields to a single stamp. So really big range of what could be shown. But again, all of the philately was shown in context with all these other objects that were part of the same story that the stamps and covers and letters are a part of as well. So that's kind of the main concept here. So I invite anyone to please go to Clash of Empires Zulu into YouTube, and you'll find a range of videos. The total content that was made from material at the exhibition, I think I just did the recount. It's up to like over 1.4 million views across our YouTube videos, and so it's some of the most viewed content that was related to the Royal Philatelic Society London that's ever been done, and I'm very proud of that. And we brought most people that came to the exhibition. We did surveys every day. I'd say 80+% of people had no stamp or philatelic prior interest or background, were coming for the interest in the subject. And of course, about half of the objects were stamps or covers or letters. And so it was sort of impossible to not have that exposure once you went through the whole experience. So thanks for showing just a few minutes of that. And you don't need to have a museum level exhibition to collect in a context way. It's just being open to finding lots of ways to show whatever you're passionate about. So Suzanne lives in Yorkshire. There's so many ways, so many things you can collect, not just, stamps, letters, and postcards related to Yorkshire. You can collect, advertising labels related to famous businesses that were from there, or anyway. So there's so many ways to tell a story of any subject or theme, and you can do it in any way you want. There's not a prescribed way.
Thank you. That's what we like as well here at Stampex, that we have our display your way feature.
Yes.
We're not going to put rules around you. However you want to tell your story, you just tell it your way.
Exactly.
We're going to let Alex get back to the show and have some fun. I think when I said, can you do this live? You don't even want to go and get a glass of water because you want to be exploring, but you have to speak to him instead.
No, but this was great. I really appreciate your idea, really, to make this a part of the experience for Virtual Stampex. And I invite anyone. I always say this at the end of every one of any YouTube video I'm a part of. My email address is Alex, ALEXH, the letter H, so ALEXH @cherrystoneauctions.com. Especially if you are someone that is a young person, a teenager in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're looking for ways to connect with other young people that are engaged in philately around the world, please reach out to me. People that have reached out to me, I've really been thankful to them for doing so and taking me up on this offer. I love connecting, especially young people that are trying to find peers to engage in their collecting pursuits and passions. There's nothing like coming to a stamp show, which I hope everyone here will go to in some form, wherever you live or near where you live in the future, but coming there with people that are also interested in the same things you are and can have that experience along with you. That's really what should you bring to a stamp show? Bring friends. Forget a backpack.
It's about the stamps and it's about the people. And you're a great person, Alex. And I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I appreciate everyone here who's attended the talk live and is watching it back. Is there anything you want to say before you go and have some more philatelic fun?
My email, I just mentioned my email. Definitely, if you're, please reach out. I'd love to connect with anyone, not just a young person, anyone that's interested to connect. I would say, look at your calendars, go online, look for opportunities to go to a real show. There is just something about this experience that, yes, it may take a little getting used to if you've never been to one, but it's worth it. It's worth having an opportunity to so easily be able to access and to connect and literally to look at physical material all in one place. There's nothing quite like it. And hope that all of you will, if you have a chance to come to London in the fall, to come to Stampex, the non-virtual, the in-person Stampex. I will be there in October and can't wait.
I'll be there too, Alex. 28th to the 31st.
You have no choice. You have no choice.
It's my job. No, I love it. I absolutely love Stampex. Love it here. Thank you so much again for your time. Thank you, everybody. We will see you soon at the next talk.
Thanks, Suzanne. Bye.
We hope to see you at our next Stampex show, at Virtual Stampex or in person in London.